New tonight, Luigi Mangione no longer a person of interest. He now faces a murder charge tonight in the killing of United Healthcare CEO. Hear from the officer's interaction with the 26-year-old when he made the arrest.
A big drop from what we saw today, 84 degrees, record broken, but tomorrow, 59 degrees. That front is going to make a big change for us. I'll tell you how big coming up.
And the staffing challenge disrupting travel at Austin's airport. The FAA says there is a solution underway. Why Austin's congressman doesn't bite.
And we start with breaking news tonight. New York prosecutors just filed a murder charge against Luigi Mangione. This is video of the man police say shot and killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Mangione arrived tonight at a Pennsylvania courthouse for arraignment. In the last hour, the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections released his booking photo. Investigators say the big break in this case came after an employee inside a McDonald's recognized the 26-year-old from the photos New York police released.
Now, the 911 call came from a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. That's more than 270 miles west of New York City, where Thompson was gunned down last week. When police went into the McDonald's this morning, they say an officer found Mangione sitting at a table in the back, eating breakfast with his laptop and a backpack. They say the officer quickly recognized him, and investigators say he was taken into custody peacefully.
He had asked the suspect if he had been in New York City recently, and that really invoked a physical reaction from the suspect. He became visibly nervous, kind of shaking at that question, and he didn't really answer it directly. So that statement alone really said a lot, and the suspect didn't have to say a lot after that question to show that he was very nervous at that point.
And police say once they took Mangione back to the police station, they checked his backpack and found several fake IDs, a gun and silencer that were both made with a 3D printer, a loaded magazine, and what authorities are now calling a manifesto that provides clues to a motive. The arresting officer, by the way, is just 6 months into the job.
I can't say I was expecting it by any means, but it feels good to get a guy like that off the street, especially starting my career this way. It feels great.
And Mangione, an Ivy League graduate from a prominent Maryland real estate family, is being held in a state prison tonight and will eventually be extradited back to New York.
Now back at home, a live look at downtown Austin. A bit warmer today compared to the last couple of days, but with the temperatures expected to dip significantly over the next 24 hours, the city of Austin plans to activate its cold weather shelter tomorrow as temperatures could drop to the mid-30s Tuesday into Wednesday morning. And to help get the message across, the city is partnering with community groups who work with people experiencing homelessness. This is the first activation after the city simplified its process. The Austin EMS Association pushed for these changes that include eliminating the complicated multi-tiered activation system. Instead, the cold weather shelters will simply activate when temperatures at Camp Mabry are expected to reach 35 degrees or below overnight. The notification that those shelters are opening will happen faster instead of day of, and that was something that was a huge concern for the EMS Association previously. And we do have a look at the rest of those changes at KXAN.com.
And we do have Freddie Vela in for Nick tonight. Hard to believe that we're talking about this anticipation of the cold when it was so warm today.
I do, yeah. It's a big change, and I'm glad that some of these changes are being made because we're going to see temperatures drop below 30 in many spots across Central Texas. Take a look at current temperatures right now across the state, and you can tell Amarillo already down to 36 degrees. I fully anticipate they're going to hit 32 overnight tonight just because of the cold air that's still filtering through. Lubbock right now at 43 degrees. That front still pushing through Waco at this point, but we're already starting to see some effects in other spots. San Angelo, 50 degrees. Dallas at 51. Shreveport still at about 55 degrees. Here's a live look at our West Shore Homes camera in central Austin. Clear night. With the clouds gone, that's going to allow our temperatures to pretty much drop all that daytime heating right up into the atmosphere with no clouds to kind of hold in a lot of that heat. And then with the front coming in, big changes on the way overnight tonight. Satellite and radar continues to show we're not the only ones that are dealing with clear skies. From today to tomorrow, we're looking at about a 25-degree difference as far as just your high temperature is concerned. So it's going to be interesting to see how we're going to go from 84, where we broke the record, to tomorrow, we're going to be down into the 50s in many spots. We look out towards Wednesday morning, down into the 30s, 36 degrees, and it looks like we have 2 days of being down in the 30s. By the time we get to Friday, warms up just a tad. But these are going to be two key mornings here, especially out towards the hill country and many other spots. So I'm going to be talking about the front arriving, about the possible drop in temperatures below 32 degrees, and then we have a chance of rain returning. We'll talk about all of it coming up in your first warning weather.
All right, Freddie, thank you. Traffic flying in and out of Austin's airport is back to normal tonight after a ground delay disrupted travel plans for many passengers over the weekend. The disruption is once again bringing up some growing concerns about the people responsible for managing takeoffs and arrivals at the airport.
The Federal Aviation Administration says it is working to hire more air traffic controllers. But today, Austin Congressman Lloyd Doggett pushed back on that, saying that he will believe it when he sees it. And as KXAN's Sarah Alsher reports, this all comes as the airport prepares for the busy holiday season.
A ground delay at the Austin airport due to air traffic controller staffing. The FAA confirmed flights into AUS slowed down on Sunday.
This should not be happening.
U.S. Representative Lloyd Doggett criticizing what he calls a short notice delay, alleging some lasted for more than 2.5 hours.
This is something I've been working on for over a year. And I must say that the situation today is worse than when I began working on it.
Calling the FAA slow at getting staff to Austin's airport.
I believe that the FAA could have prioritized Austin for more air traffic controllers. They told me they would do that. They have not done it.
A spokesperson for the FAA noted the agency hired more than 1,800 air traffic controllers this year, hitting its target with 2,000 more expected next year. At Austin's airport, the FAA said there are 33 certified professional controllers and 6 in training employed, adding that more trainees will join AUS between December and next spring. But Congressman Doggett remains weary of that.
I frankly am not going to believe the promises until I see the personnel in the tower.
This comes at a time when more people gear up to travel for the holidays, like students at the University of Texas going home for the break.
To go back to Miami, Florida, where my parents live, so I'll be going to see them for Christmas.
Some planning ahead to avoid the crowds.
A lot of long lines in the security, so I actually got TSA pre-checked to stop that.
Sarah Alsher, KXAN News.
And KXAN reached out to the FAA for comment on Doggett's statements regarding air traffic control staffing levels here in Austin. We'll update the story once we receive a response. Going in depth, when it comes to airline delays at Austin's airport, more than 1 out of every 5 arriving flights were delayed last year. That's according to numbers from the U.S. Department of Transportation. Out of the nearly 93,000 flights at the airport in 2023, roughly 22% were delayed and a little more than 1% were canceled. JetBlue saw the highest percentage of delays, with nearly 35% of flights running late. Hawaiian Airlines had the best on-time performance, with only 17% of their flights delayed. By the way, a flight is considered delayed if it arrives at a gate 15 or more minutes after the scheduled arrival time.
President-elect Donald Trump's nominees continue meeting with senators as they work to get confirmed in the new administration. Today, Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel, and Pete Hegseth made the rounds. Texas Senator John Cornyn says he's inclined to support Patel for FBI director.
My goal would be to restore the nonpartisan functioning of the chief law enforcement agency in the country. Mr. Patel said he shares that goal.
Patel has previously said he would shut down the FBI headquarters and go after political opponents. Embattled Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth is trying to secure votes. The former Fox News host and veteran faces allegations about personal and professional misconduct that have put his confirmation in jeopardy. He met a second time with Iowa Republican Senator Joni Ernst, who hasn't confirmed she's a yes vote. Nominee for Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard also met with senators. Nominees need 51 votes to be confirmed. Republicans will control 54 seats in the new Senate.
Well, now to Syria, where rebels swiftly drove out the brutal regime of dictator Bashar al-Assad, whose family has ruled for over half a century. Celebration followed shortly after the toppling of the brutal decades-long regime. The ousted dictator and his family fled to Russia and was granted asylum. A coalition of rebel groups are now in charge in Syria. The largest of them is an Islamist group that has its origins in Al-Qaeda. Now, the U.S. still considers that group a terrorist organization, but the rebel group is promising protections for all Syrians, and they started freeing thousands of political prisoners who were often tortured, and among them could be American journalist Austin Tice, believed to have been captive in Syria for 12 years.
We are hopeful that in this chaos, the opportunity is created and that the right people will do the right thing and bring him home to us.
We believe he's alive. We think we can get him back, but we have no direct evidence of that yet.
And there are roughly 900 American troops in Syria who will remain, largely to help prevent another terror organization, ISIS, from seizing power. The city of San Marcos wants to hear from people who live and visit the city. 40,000 Texas State students call San Marcos home, and the city is still growing. So having reliable transportation in San Marcos is key.
And while decision makers there think the city's transportation system is already running pretty smoothly, they understand there is always room for improvement. Sam Stark breaks down the city's strategy.
As more and more people choose San Marcos as their stop to live, the city wants to hear how it can better help people get around town. The city is asking bus riders to submit their opinions like this.
Sometimes in the mornings, like, you can't get on the first bus because it's too full.
Or this.
I think just the timeliness of the buses, like at the times they're coming, just quicker times, I think I would say that's all really.
In a survey so it can better meet the needs of students and residents.
Making them better is the goal. That's why we need the customer feedback. You know, we don't want to fall into the trap of thinking that we know what people need and where they want to go.
The city of San Marcos and Texas State University continue to grow. For the first time in the university's history, enrollment in the fall 2024 semester surpassed 40,000 students. And as a whole, the city of San Marcos has grown from 45,000 people in 2010 to over 85,000 in 2023. And with people in the city generally having lower income than neighboring towns, public transportation for students and residents is crucial. So while the city and university already offer free bus rides across town, they want to keep improving.
We're really proud of the service that we provide, and we think it's a really powerful public good.
In San Marcos, Sam Stark, KXAN News.
If you live in San Marcos or even visit from time to time, the city wants to hear from you about its transit system. So we do have a link to that survey with this story at KXAN.com. For a little perspective on the need for public transportation in San Marcos, more than 5% of households in some San Marcos neighborhoods do not have access to vehicles. This is all according to data from the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Economic Research on Food Desert Communities.
The man known to give generously to the Texas community during natural disasters is set to have major surgery tomorrow. Jim McInvale, known as Mattress Mac, will undergo a 4-hour open-heart surgery. Texans are encouraged to show their support through videos and tagging his social media accounts at Mattress Mac. You'll remember in 2021, he sent 30 trucks full of donations to help New Orleans with its recovery efforts after Hurricane Ida. And he made similar efforts when Hurricane Harvey hit Houston in 2017 and during Katrina in 2005. Back then, he turned his stores into sleeping areas for those who escaped the danger and didn't have anywhere to stay. So the best to him and his family, of course.
So that cold front is arriving in the early morning hours of tomorrow.
Just almost here.
Yeah.
This is all,
you say it with a smile, Freddie.
This is what we've been waiting for. And some people, it's so tough. There's a big divide here. Some people want the warmer weather. Some people are saying, let's get to the colder air already. And it looks like the colder air people are going to win, because at this point, we're not going back to the 80s, at least not within the next 7 days. We'll get kind of close, and I'll show you right now. But it's clear skies across Central Texas. Zoom out a bit more. The front continuing to push through. It is almost here. Temperatures are already getting down into the 40s in many spots. 46 in Fredericksburg, 47 in Dripping Springs. Austin still at about 58 degrees. Bastrop at 61. Giddings at around 58 degrees, but 51 as you get out towards San Saba and Lampasas. So what's going to happen when the front does arrive? Well, as it pushes through, you may get a little bit of cloud coverage, but the cooler air is going to filter in. We're down to around 44 to 46 degrees in many spots, including Austin. So that means it may be a bit chillier in the surrounding areas. And then clear skies will stick around. but we do know that winds are going to pick up. In fact, we're already seeing some signs of that now. Wind gusts as the evening goes on. Look at what happens. It's kind of a delayed start here. The front's going to come in first, and then the winds start to really ramp up. Tomorrow, we're looking at wind gusts between 25 to 30 miles per hour, even by about 6 p.m. We're still seeing around 22 to 24 mile per hour wind gusts. Then we get out towards Wednesday overnight, winds will calm down, but they're still coming in from the north, and that's a key factor here. No clouds. Winds still coming in from the north, starting to slow down. That's going to allow for our temperatures to really drop, especially with the dry air that's going to be filtering in. So let's play it out before we get to that point. Tuesday, going throughout the rest of the day, we'll start off in the 40s, 47 to 49, slowly creep back up to the 50s by around 1 p.m. We're looking at about 55 degrees, and then our high for the day should be at around 59 by 3 p.m., 4 p.m., and then we're back down again. And it's a pretty steep drop Tuesday night going into Wednesday. Look at some of these temperatures. 26 in Llano, 28 in Fredericksburg, 28 in Mason, 29 in San Saba, Georgetown around 31 degrees, Giddings at around 32, and LaGrange at 31. San Marcos, 32 degrees out there. Could we see freeze warnings? It is a possibility, especially for those hill country areas. That's where you're going to see most likely the freeze warnings in effect. But I wouldn't discount everyone. We are a bit behind here on that first freeze. You'll notice some Octobers and Novembers in there. That's normally where we see about these first freezes. We're well behind. We're already in December, and we haven't even gotten there for many spots. November 14th to November 20th from Lampasas to Burnett and all the way down. Metro itself, November 28th to December 4th. So if we hit freezing there, which I don't foresee that happening, we'll get close, but I don't see us getting there. Then we would at least be right around on time. So I did mention rain chances. So let's start the clock here. We know the front will come in, drier air will filter through, and then we're left with dry air for Wednesday into Thursday. But then moisture flows back in Thursday into Friday, and that's where we could start seeing some of the rainfall picking up. It's not a lot, but it's still enough to at least get us to about a quarter of an inch of rain that we could see across most of the metro area. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. 59 for tomorrow, 64 for Wednesday, but it's these two mornings that are going to be the big concern. Even though the metro itself will be about 36, 37, hill country about 26 degrees on Wednesday morning, about 29 degrees as we get to Thursday morning, and then we slowly start to go back up to around 71 to 73 degrees. Rain chances there for Friday and Saturday, and then we start to stabilize out with the mostly sunny skies by Monday.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Good evening. Longhorns taking a few days off from football. Then they'll get back to work and begin preparation for that playoff game against Clemson a week from Saturday. For Steve Sarkisian, of course, quite a resurrection to his head coaching career. A conference championship last year and then to the SEC title game in their first year in the conference. Now he'd like to get over the hump and win it all. That's what's happened at Clemson twice under Dabo Swinney, but he was kind of an unknown commodity when he went from interim head coach to head coach back in 2009 and was looking for some guidance from other head coaches.
I actually called around to a lot of coaches, and the only guy that would let me come visit was Mac Brown, and he didn't know me from Adam. And I remember calling out there, and he was like, "Man, congrats. I kept up with your season. It was really cool to see you get the opportunity." And he's like, "Yeah, come on out." So I brought my whole staff, like strength staff, defense, offense, and we went out and spent 2.5, 3 days there. He took us all to lunch. We had we spent a lot of time meeting, but I was hoping I might get maybe an hour with him. He spent several hours with me one-on-one, and I had a lot of questions. Some of it was just confirmation of things that just, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm thinking the right way. And then a lot of it, like I couldn't even get the question out of my mouth. He could read my mind and he had the answer. But Mac Brown, that time with Mac Brown was transformational for me.
I think that he modernized a lot of the coaching philosophies that a lot of us use today. The old school model of coaching was, basically coach out of fear. I think Dabo's been one of the guys that changed that philosophy early on, and he created an environment there and a culture there at Clemson was one that was, in my opinion, full of love and support, and it's okay to have fun.
It's award season. Longhorn Johnny Barron in Charlotte tonight didn't win the Nagurski Award, one of 4 finalists. That goes to Kyle Kennard, defensive lineman from South Carolina. He's on to the College Football Award Show on Thursday. He's one of 3 finalists for the Thorpe Award. That goes to the top defensive back. Boy, tough for former Longhorn running back Jonathan Brooks. Remember last year, tore the ACL against TCU, 13-month rehab. Finally got back in the NFL 3 weeks ago, but his first carry yesterday against Philly, and he suffers a torn ACL on that same right knee. Well, tough night for the Cowboys. They lose 27-20, just ended. Cowboys were going to get the ball back with about 2 minutes to go on a block punt, but they touched the block punt. Bengals retained possession, and they scored a late touchdown to win it. College basketball news, Texas women fall from 4-6 after that loss to Notre Dame. Impressive win yesterday at James Madison. In that game, Rory Harmon goes over the 1,000-point mark. She's a player that can affect the game without ever scoring, but she did her part yesterday with 19 points in the Longhorns' victory. Texas back home against Southern University on Wednesday. UT men on Thursday in action as well. Go to KXAN.com for more sports.